Assalamu alaikum kardeşler. Good evening, dear ladies and gentlemen. Today, you are here. We are going to together celebrate Uyghur culture, and also we have to share Uyghur's pain. So welcome to the Uyghur community or Uyghur Cultural Night in London. I just briefly introduce what's going to happen tonight. Many of you are now aware that since last year, more than millions of Uyghurs detained in Chinese internment camps in Turkestan, including an uncounted number of Uyghur academics, writers, journalists, artists, editors, and public figures. There are growing concern within the UN and the international community. China has enforced communication blockade for the Uyghurs between home and abroad. And foreign reporters have been banned from reporting from the region. In the shadow of this crisis, which affects the whole Uyghur population, Uyghur community around the world, including a small number Uyghur community in the UK, are also suffering and unable to communicate with their parents and relatives. At this troubled time, with the hope for the better, for the first time, we have organized this event in collaboration with Uyghur Pen Center, which is only international organization, part of the international community. Uyghur Pen Center is part of the international pen, and the Uyghur community in the UK, in order to reach out further British public's attention to the present Uyghur crisis. The peace-loving Uyghur people have a rich and distinct cultural heritage that flourished in the hearts of the ancient Silk Road. The Uyghurs are indigenous inhabitants of East Turkestan, Uyghuristan, which has over 20 million population. Uyghurs are ethnically Turkic with Islamic belief, and during the millenniums of their history, their rich culture developed and their diverse influence from around the region, from nomadic shamanic beliefs to the Buddhist era, to their conversion to Islam beginning in the 10th century. Today, Uyghur culture is under severe threat as China carries out systematic policies to forcibly assimilate the Uyghur cultural and ethnic identity into the Han Chinese. Finally, I would like to say at this event is dedicated for the freedom of Uyghur writers and poets who faced arbitrary arrest and unlawfully kept in Chinese camps. Among them is Chimengul Aung, whom I know well. She is a well-known Uyghur female poet. She worked for Kashgar Uyghur publishers as a senior editor before she was taken away to the Chinese camps in July 2018. She's a good friend of mine. I have spoken to her on the phone in August 2015 in Almaty. Here's her shortest poem for her son on 17th July 2018 before her arrest. Poem extracted from her social media page WeChat. She wrote, "My dear son, please don't cry. The whole world will cry for you." She's gone. So let's cry together for Chimengul and other thousands of unknown Chimenguls for their freedom. Let's cry for the release of millions of innocent Uyghur people from China's 21st century internment camps. Now I'm going to read one of my poems dedicated for Çimengül and other thousands of Çimengüls in East Turkestan. Çimen means flower in Uyghur language. Kuş means bird. So her pen name is Çimen Kuş, means a flower bird. Çimen Kuş, the flower bird of Kashgar. The moment before the smell of the hot summer went away, you were happy singing in the village. Your footprints were still fresh in the dust. So I say, I can't believe you have become a wilder flower. I can't believe you have become a cage bird. I want to break the lock of that cage. I want to curse all the locks in our world. I want to burn away all evil with my rage. The fire of rain will consume them. Your poem will soar in the blue sky where you belong, because the sky is free, and like you, in the blue sky, it can visit you through your narrow window when you feel sad. Çimen Kuş, I know you were never afraid of the season. I know no one can cheat you. You will return one day. You will come back next spring, holding a bunch of flowers in your hand. If you don't come, the poplar trees won't blossom. The peach trees won't bloom in Bashkirim. Swallows won't fly over the city of Kashgar. Life won't go on without you. 1st November 2018. So, it's now Uyghur people, we are living very troubled time, probably tragedy we are all facing. There's no one in the community affected. So, for myself, my father died last year, and I don't know, my nearly 8 years old mother, I don't know, she's still alive, like my story. There's so many stories. So today we are going to talk about, first part of the program, we have talk about the general situation in East Turkestan. And the second part, we have music, we have school and school student performance. Also, I made a film about Halkanar. This is summer. I'm going to share how do you feel? Like, I just would like to share the pain and how do we will think about the situation right now. So now I turn my speaking turn to Nizamuddin. He is the chairperson of the Uyghur community, Nizam Senator, and we have small that growing Uyghur community. So Nizam Nakam.
Esselamu Aleyküm, hürmetli Büyük Britanya'daki Uyghur ahalleri ve şundakla Irak yakından gelgen aziz mehmanlarımız. Hepimizge malum ki bugünkü günlerde vatanımız ve milletimizin ahvali kündük günler açarlıcıp belki müşkül bir tehlike itiklerdi. Bunu tortuş için Dünya Uyghur Kültür terkibinde Xitay Komünist Parti'nin siyaseti karşı üzülme hareketler bulmadıdır. Bizim Büyük Britanya'da şu Katar'daki işler koşulup kolumuzun gelişçe bizim işlik bir faaliyetlerini kıtkıladınız. Bana bugünkü bizim faaliyetimiz aslında bir işlerin bir balatıdır. Yani hemimlere rahmet vaktinden, kıymetli vaktinden tekmeşe kaynanlar için şu bizim faaliyetimizin katlaşıp eğlenimler için kayıtla faydalanıp bana karanlar şu fikir kayıtlarda ben rahmet etmek için nurlu milletler bizden yaşlı tutup kolun kelgen yardımını kılıp kivatıdı. Başlarının biri bizden Türk kıyımdaşlarımız bana zanlık organizasyonu isimli binalarını bizge icaresiz verip Uygur bizim kıyımdaşlarımız müşkün hakikattır. Her kandarlıkları bütün dünyaya hızarını yaptığı için biz müessesimize koşup koyalım. Bizim nerede Türk kıyımdaşlarımızın vekili oturttu. Hemen namıdın Emriye'deki Uygur Cemiyet namıdın bu bizim kıyımdaşlarımıza çok rahmet etmekçi. Çıkılıp Hüdayen dursa, kaçanlı olsa bulanmışı, çoğun bir binalar çıkıp işgalip getirdi. Kaçanlı olsa şu işleri tutuklarını tilemeyiz. Ürünlük işi bilmesin. Ve öyle ki muşulak işe Türk kıyımdaşlarımız, Türk milleti en yakın bizi kozak egen milletlerden biri. Elbette biz bunu birimiz ve kadirlerimiz. Welcome to Uygur Culture Night event organized by Uygur Pen and UK Uygur community. We are the Uyghurs and you know the current situation is our historical motherland, East Türkistan, and its population under the rules of Chinese Communist government is very bad nowadays, and unfortunately getting worse day by day. Thanks to world media, this situation is well known to the world. Uyghurs of world together with other nations who is supporting us, doing a lot to change current situation. UK Uyghur community is a part of this movement.
Selamünaleyküm aziz vatandaşlar, güzel arkadaşlar. UK'ye kelip, yani şu İngilizce kelip, London'da bugün bu kadarcık Uygurlar köygünümden aldı olan pek hoş buldum. Hem onun bu kadarcık Uygur çevremizden bir yer bağlığını hem özümüzden şahit olmadığımızdan ait hoşlandım. Hem onlara salam, sevgilim salam, her yerden, her bir yer, Amerika'da da emas, ülkelerden, hazır vakitte şu Uygur cemiyeti, Uygur vezirleri olan şu akrabalar, hemimiz acılık zırlap durup, yanım şunda bir renk zırnalık aldığımız için birbirimizge didar karışıp durup, şu Uygurumuzdan kiyemini, Uygurumuzdan ahvalını birbirimize yani şunda halagarak anlatışka taşıp atkalmışım halimizni de ortaklaşkalmışım ahvalını köylümüzden gayri koşalım.
Emma Wadsworth Jones. I am the Asia Programme Coordinator at PEN International. For those of you who don't know, PEN International is a world association of writers that promotes literature and defends freedom of expression. We were founded in 1921 in London, and since then we've grown to have centres in over 100 countries. I think currently we have 149 of them, including the wonderful Uygur Pen Centre, who was founded in 2008, I believe. Is that right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. So our Uygur Centre is fabulous, as you all know, and have worked for the twin purpose of promoting Uyghur culture and protecting writers on the ground. Our work with our centres is absolutely vital. We couldn't do the work that we do without our centres. They are vital resources of knowledge, they have connections to the writers on whose behalf that we work. So PEN has 4 committees dedicated to promoting our work. The first is the Women's Writers Committee. We have a Writers for Peace Committee, a Translation and Linguistic Rights Committee, and, as Azi said, the Writers in Prison Committee, which is arguably probably our most active of our committees. It was founded in 1960 in response to increased attempts to stifle and silence dissenting voices, and we work on behalf of writers who are persecuted for using the written word. And that's writers in the broadest sense of the word. So it could be a poet, it could be an essayist, it could be a novelist, it could be a journalist or an academic. So over the course of a year, my team, the team that I work with, we have people working on every region, we monitor on average 700 cases a year and document the more literary of those cases, of which there are probably about 200. And working with our centres, we work to protect and to defend writers who are being persecuted for their use of the written word. We do this in a myriad of ways, but one of the key ways that we do that is through our rapid action network alerts, which...
Assalamu alaikum hammalarga. Dostlar, qarindoshlar. Bugun Mishada sizlar bilan yuz ko'rishganimdan intayin xursandman. Xush keldinglar. Türk kardeşlerim, sizlerden çok memnunum. Hoş geldiniz. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to see a big crowd, to be here today, to share some of our pain, what is happening back home in my countries. At the same time, we share some beautiful cultures. I arrived to the UK in 2000, in year 2000. I made my decision to come to this country in 1997, when the Londra massacre happened in my city. And at that time I decided that if I ever have a chance to leave this country, I will dedicate my life to give voice to my people. So as soon as I arrived in England in 2000, that is the time I started my activities in private and in public. Uygurca değişimden hacet var mı?
Yok.
Düşensanlar ben Uygurçunu demey. Beni zaten bilirsizler. Asaslık müşahedeki başka til sözleydiğen milletlerge anlatmak için. So one of the struggles that I had since coming to the UK was when I said I am Uyghur. I find the people staring at me like they didn't know who are Uyghur. So that's why my work focused on promoting the Uyghur identity, and with music, with literature, and with human rights activities. And wherever there is a platform, I would speak, I would talk, I would say very openly and criticize the Chinese government's terrible, oppressive, evil policy against my people. Because we have a song, actually, there is a poem which was sang by one of the very famous singer, Ömercan Alim, Arman nime haknedep özse. What means is, if you die speaking the truth, what desire you have left? Basically, you achieved all your desires. But sadly, we have so many people, their mind, their heart were imprisoned by the Chinese government. And that is a very sad thing. But when I met Uygur Janship in 2011 in Budapest, we were invited as a London Uyghur ensemble to perform for the Uyghur cultural event, opening event. And we did one concert. The next day I met her, and she asked me what I do apart from singing. So I said, well, I can't earn living by singing, but my work focused on translation and interpreting. And then she said, I have been looking for someone to translate my book. I have spent 10 years to write my personal memoir. And my main aim was to let the world know what happened during my time and also what is happening right now. Because from what I wrote, people will understand the basic history of the Uyghur people, especially since the communist regime started since 1949. So I had never read this book, so I said, well, I have never translated a book, but I believe that requires very, very high skill. But I said, let me think about it. So I received the book. She told me where to get it. After I spent 15 days. Every day when I come back from work, I would read. It's a huge book, 670 pages. It was big like this. When I finished, I decided. I spoke to a few of my British friends and English teachers, ex-teachers, and I said, would you help me? Because I can translate accurately, but may not be able to write like the English writers. So it requires.
Yetekçiliği İslam dinini kabul ediyor. Şunlardan keyin Uygurlarniki dini etiqadı, örf adeti, medeniyeti, tarixi İslam bilan nihoyatda zich o'zi yo'g'rilib ketgan. Endi hozir bizniki men tunishtirmoqchi bo'lgan kitobning o'zi nurg'un qatim bizda nima shunday bir inqilob bo'lgan bo'lsa-mu, inqilobning o'zida bu islom cho'ng rol o'ynagan. Chunki diniy e'tiqod har qanday bir millatniki bir inqiloblarda, madaniyatlarda cho'ng bir rol o'ynaydi.
This is a book about Islam. I studied for many years about Islam. When we was converted to Islam in the 10th century. But since then, we was have independent state, many kingdoms until 16th century, 17th century. But whenever we have the outsiders came to conquer us, like Chinese or Russians, sometimes we use correctly Islam, sometimes we misunderstand about Islam. We misuse the Islam or didn't understand properly the context of Quran.
Bizim tariximizde, yani şu Seydiye xalqından keyin Apaq Hocaniki zamanı kirgandan başlap İslam dini bizge, yani Uygurlarga nihoyatda o'zi salbiy ta'sir berib kelgan. Yani nihoyat cho'ng ziyonlarni sepib kelgan shunday bir ishlar bo'lgan.
Since the Saidiya kingdom, which is 16th century established in Yarkand, and after during the Apaq Hoca period, the Islam brought to the whole Uyghur nation in a very negative way rather than the positive.
Xalqniki madaniyati bo'lsin, tarixi bo'lsin, yoki bo'lmaydi taraqqiy qilishi, ya'ni ilmiy jihat taraqqiy qilishlarda nihoyatda zo'r salbiy ta'sirlarni kelgan.
In regarding of Uyghur culture or social development and many aspects of Uyghur life, it brought not progressive, but on the other hand, the obstacle.
Hürmetli dostlar, hoş geldiniz. Ben şiirlerini ve anlaşacağım. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce myself. I am and I want to share with you my poems. First I'm going to read Uyghur poems. Direk degen tökülmeydi, yağmur yığıp tunsa. Jürek degen toxtaydı, Xuda rızkı verilse. Kıyın gün geçip kaldım, menin güzel vətnim, senin halkın jığlaydı, ata ona bulmuşsa. Gündüz keşke örülüp, bir gün yıldız geçildi. Küçü aşı yıldızın halkı emret oldu. Halkım menin Uygurum, çeçrap gettin dünyaga. Allah, senin yıldızın kelsin nürlük vətenge.
Sitting there, they are from Karma, yeah? Karma in the north. She's going to sing us her wonderful song. Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, and our lovely children, we are going to sing for you the Uyghur song Türkistan. Biz Assalamualaikum mehmanlar, biz sizlarga Uyghur naqshlardan Türkistan degan naqshni ishimiz aytib bermoqchi. Rahmatimiz, xo'sh kelibsizlar. Türkistan, Türkistan'a meneyra, senin gönlün aram taptı, menin gönlüm dehireyra. Yarıma güleceğim, canıma güleceğim, her cayda buldun ama. Yarıma güleceğim, canıma güleceğim, her cayda buldun ama. Sizin ötünüze frek postan, ben hayran. Senin kömlün aram taptı, benim kömlüm tehi veyran. Senin kömlün aram taptı, işimizin kömlü tehi veyran.
Two class, one Tarım, another one Zarafshan. Tarım is like only read and writing, and this is Zarafshan, little bit big student, a little bit age or 8. And because in 1914, because in 1914, one is businessman in our country, in Kashgar, Musabai. He created one school, Husseiniye. And he invited one teacher, Ahmed Kamal, from Istanbul, Ottoman Empire. And he came to lead that Husseiniye school. That's why his school name is Istila. That is education movement, this new generation. Okay, now we start Istila marching. Start part. Can you start?
Okay. Ünlük eğitim.
İşçilerimiz, kollarımız gam, gözümüz nurlu, kalbimiz sağlam, hele yolda basınız, düşmana karşı sıkmadığınız kan, köyge dönüşüp işçi bala, vatan hele hamida, kayna piştala, vatan hele hamida, kayna piştala, bütün yılların zalim kolda, işlemde sende mal yok, endi ketse can gider. Bu ölümden özanı kutlanırsan, ah senin halın xəter. Hop dedim bir şeyini biter, uykunu aç, rakibinin bir şeyini kes, qenini çar.
Bilmez. Hemen sıkıntı çıkarım Zeynep. Hemen sen bak.
Zeynep Rengi'nin emsindeki kızçılar maşını okuyoruz. Biz çiğlendik, kollarımız gam, gözümüz nurlu, kalbimiz sağlam. Yolda almamasımız, düşmeye karşı sakla intikam. Gentirişip yaşlı çiğbalar, vatan yolda kaynamış damlar. Vatan yolda kaynamış damlar. Uzun yıllardır yaşlar yolda, yanıyor her yolda.
Çırağıtı pervane Küyer merdan merdane Çırağıtı pervane Küyer merdan merdane Güzelsin ey dilber Olay kurban kurbane Olay kurban kurbane Kurbane Güzelsin ey dilber Olay kurban kurbane Olay kurban kurbane
Dostlarımki ben huzurga iştirakçı olduk. Birinci nakşa Adargül kalbimizine yakın anlayacağım başladı. Adargül. İkinci nakşımız sen gelmesen bahar olan. Sen varlığımdın, seni görmeyi gönlümdü. Sen gelmesen varlığımdın, seni görmeyi gönlümdü. Ayda yılda bir gelip kessen, gelip kessen, bu didarga yürek kanandı. Ayda yılda bir gelip kessen, gelip kessen, bu didarga yürek kanandı. Aç geldi, kutu sendek sayrıgaş geldi. Sen gelmedin, kolgaç geldi, kutu sendek sayrıgaş geldi. Gözlerimge şuna yaş geldi, yaş geldi. Kendi bu can daim duramdı. Gözlerimge şuna yaş geldi, yaş geldi. Kendi bu can daim duramdı. We decided not to leave you with sadness, so just one Nava Makam to finish.
Hayır,